it's, you know, it's typical remote, to the right, to the left, and it works because it's on.
Perfect.
And it's waiting for you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
It's very simple. Well, it's on here, and to the right, to the left, and
So I can,
you can see
go back and
yeah,
forth, right?
forward and back.
Can I walk?
Maybe, but I think it's right now. It's off.
Of course, sure.
Yeah.
So where do I send it? This way or this way? Where does
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter, honestly. And if there will be a problem, I will be somewhere here, and I will help you. Okay? Thank you. Dzień dobry, szanowni państwo, bardzo prosimy o zajęcie. Raz, dwa, trzy, o zajęcie miejsc. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat.
Шановні пані та панове, ми розпочинаємо другий день міжнародної конференції Focus on Ukraine, яку вже вдруге організовують у Гданську Національне агентство з питань академічних обмінів Польщі та Гданський університет. Позаду перший день насичений надзвичайно натхненними дискусіями. І сьогодні, в першу чергу, хочемо запросити до слова генерального консула України в Польщі, pana Aleksandra Plodystą.
Szanowni Państwo, rozpoczynamy drugi dzień międzynarodowej konferencji Focus on Ukraine, którą organizują w Gdańsku już po raz drugi Narodowa Agencja Wymiany Akademickiej oraz Uniwersytet Gdański. Za nami pierwszy dzień pełen niezwykle inspirujących dyskusji. A dziś, jako pierwszego, chcielibyśmy poprosić o zabranie głosu konsula generalnego Ukrainy w Polsce, pana Aleksandra Plodystego.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We are starting the second day of the international conference Focus on Ukraine, organized for the second time in Gdansk by the Polish National Agency for Academic Exchange and the University of Gdansk. We are after the first day of very inspiring discussions, and today, as the first, we would like to ask our first speaker, Consul General of Ukraine in Poland, Mr. Aleksander Plodysty.
Dzień dobry, magnificencja.
Good morning, Your Magnificence, Mr. Director General, dear representatives of the academia, students, esteemed guests. It's my second participation. I took part in the first edition of the conference, but it's my first opportunity to speak from this stage. Thank you to the organizers, an immense thank you. To me, it's an extreme honor to be here. First edition took place in completely different circumstances. At that time, we remember very well the Russian troops were stationed close to Kiev, and the fate of Ukraine was not yet known. The result of this conference was that immediate action was taken, which made it a lot easier for Ukrainian students to live, as well as Ukrainian professors who not only looked for shelter here in Poland and other countries, but also wanted to keep working, keep research and teaching, and these activities, these measures were very helpful. We are very happy, we're very grateful for all these decisions and for all that we have managed to do over the past. So now it is a time in Ukraine full of destruction. Completely, 9 universities were completely destroyed. 59 Ukrainian universities are in the war zone and are partially damaged. Many Ukrainian students and professors still have no possibility of working the way they want to, so that they can find the best places to work. And that is why I would like to take the floor here and talk about the needs of Ukrainian education at this point. The war is depriving us of resources, because war is a very costly affair. And our universities feel this shortage as well. And so does our research community. And I'm here to say that Ukrainian research, science and education need your help. I wouldn't like this to be the case, but unfortunately I have to say this. We still need, of course, I'm speaking about money, but it's also about other things. First of all, what Ukraine needs is that Ukraine has applied for membership in the European Union. We see our future in the European Union, and that is why
umowy,
Standards,
ustawy,
agreements, laws,
doświadczenie,
experience,
wiedza.
knowledge,
To, co macie
science.
tutaj,
What you
to,
have
nad czym
here,
pracowaliśmy od
what we
wieków.
have been
Tak,
working
panowie.
on for
Nie jedno
centuries,
pokolenie
not just
pracowało
one
nad tym.
generation worked on
Tego
it.
właśnie potrzebujemy.
This is
my
what we need
też.
as well.
Oczywiście
Of
chodzi
course.
o studentach, chodzi
We are
o
talking about students,
akademickie,
about
chodzi o
academic
staże,
teachers, about fellowships,
nawet dostęp do
scholarships,
biblioteki,
also access to libraries,
dostęp do program
access to programs,
naukowych,
research
oświat
programs,
Unii Europejskiej
educational programs of the European Union,
oraz program innych państw
and
świata zachodniego.
other countries of the
Szanowni
world.
Państwo, wasza pomoc niezbędna
Your
i
help
właśnie jesteście
is
tu
necessary,
dlatego,
and this is
ponieważ
why you are
nazwa
here,
Solidarni z Ukrainą i
because
wasz udział
solidarity
mówi o
with
tym,
Ukraine,
że
this
jesteście tym zainteresowani.
name
To nas bardzo
and your
cieszy.
conference tells us that
Cieszy-
you are
cieszymy
interested
się
in
z
it, and
tego,
we are
że
very
nie
happy for
pozostajemy
it.
sami
We are
z
happy that we are
tym
not
wojną, z
left
problemami,
alone with
a
with this
tylko
war, with
mówimy
our
o
problems.
tym gronie przyjaciół,
And we are speaking about all this among
którzy
friends
zawsze są po
who
naszej
are
stronie i
always
są
on our
gotowi do
side
pomocy.
and who are always ready to help.
Jestem przekonany, że
Convinced
w skutkach tej konferencji
that as a result of this conference,
decyzje, jak i rok temu,
decisions will be taken as well, like a year ago.
przedłużenie funkcjonowania
Decisions
ukraińskiego
necessary
świata,
for
nauki,
continuity
ale
of
dzisiaj
Ukrainian
integracji
research science
w Unii
and also
Europejskiej.
integration with the European
Dziękuję
Union.
bardzo za możliwość
Thank you very
wystąpienia
much for
i
allowing me to
zachęcam do
speak,
owocnej współpracy.
and I encourage your cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Consul. And now two presentations of various aid initiatives for the Ukrainian scientific community implemented by the United States organizations. The first speaker will be Mrs. Emily Borzik, Director of the Europe of the Scholar Rescue Fund region at the Institute of International Education.
Dziękujemy panu konsulowi. A teraz zapraszamy państwa do wysłuchania dwóch prezentacji różnych inicjatyw pomocowych na rzecz ukraińskiego środowiska naukowego, jakie były i są podejmowane przez organizacje w Stanach Zjednoczonych. Jako pierwsza wystąpi pani Emily Borzik, dyrektor regionu Europa Scholar Rescue Fund w Instytucie Edukacji Międzynarodowej. Zapraszamy panią na scenę.
Good morning, everybody. My name, as was said, is Emily Borzek, and I'm the Europe Director for the Scholar Rescue Fund of the Institute of International Education. I'm extremely grateful to be here to have the opportunity to talk about Scholar Rescue Fund's work with Ukrainian scholars in Poland in particular. And thank you very much to the organizers for having me. The Institute of International Education is a nonprofit organization headquartered in New York City, and we administer more than 200 higher education international exchange programs in partnership with organizations all over the world. IIE founded the Scholar Rescue Fund in 2002. And in a nutshell, this program is an opportunity for scholars to continue their research who are threatened in their home countries. So these are typically professors or researchers who hold PhDs and are working at institutions of higher education and are facing either violent conflict in their home countries or maybe the victims of targeted repression. In my presentation today, I'm just going to give a background on Scholar Rescue Fund, a little bit how it works, a summary of our work so far with Ukrainian scholars, and what we hope to do in the future. Sitting here in this room, listening to all these wonderful speakers over the last day has made me feel a little bit like Scholar Rescue Fund's work in this area so far has been very, very small compared to the momentous efforts that our Ukrainian and Polish colleagues have been making. But I hope that through my presentation, you all may come to see how we can do more in this area to help. As I said, our program works with scholars who typically hold a PhD and are employed in higher education institutions. We do not work with students, including doctoral candidates. Typically, our successful applicants have significant teaching or research experience. They have an established record of published research and are fleeing violent conflict or targeted repression. Our program makes awards to individual scholars, not to institutions who apply on their behalf. And once a scholar is selected for our program, what we do is arrange a temporary year-long research appointment at an institution outside their home country where they can continue their work in safety. So the partnerships that we have with our host institutions is an incredibly important part of our program's work. We provide a fellowship grant, typically of $25,000, to support that scholar's, as a salary or stipend to support that scholar's living expenses throughout their fellowship year. And when possible, host institutions also contribute some funding or other benefits that will help the scholar live in their host country. This could include access to health insurance, it might be housing, it might be additional stipendiary funding, or also possibly access to research, laboratories, and supplies. There are some other benefits that go into the Scholar Rescue Fund Fellowship, including funding for relocation to the host country. We can provide health insurance and also some funding for professional development and language training throughout the program. The fellowship is also renewable for a second year, but it's a maximum of 2 years of support. Many scholars, when they're undertaking these temporary fellowships, maintain their affiliations to their home universities, maybe on leave, or even during the fellowship, sometimes scholars may continue to teach remotely at their home institutions and continue their collaborations with their home universities when that's possible. Throughout our 21-year history, the program has supported 1,041 scholars from 62 different countries, and we've worked with more than 450 higher education host institutions in 55 different countries. So we really are very much a global program. And when possible, we like to arrange appointments for scholars close to their home countries. This isn't always possible, it's not always feasible or desired, but we have found that when scholars can stay close to home, they may stay more engaged with their home communities, or there are other cultural and linguistic benefits to remaining close to home. We continue to receive more applications every year than any year in our previous history. In 2002, these 5 countries represented the most applications that we got. And as you can see, they're representative of a number of higher education crises going on in the world today. And then this breaks down the host regions of Scholar Rescue Fund Fellows. We, of course, have as an American organization, we have strong networks in North America, but we also work extensively in Europe and in the MENA region, where we have placed many of our scholars who come from MENA countries. Throughout our history, Scholar Rescue Fund has responded to several large-scale higher education crises, somewhat like we're now seeing in Ukraine. I think most notably, during the height of the Iraq War, our program supported more than 300 scholars from Iraq, 40% of whom undertook their fellowships in neighboring Jordan. As part of our work to support Iraqi academics, we instituted the Iraq Distance Learning Initiative, and this was a program that allowed Scholar Rescue Fund Fellows outside of Iraq who were either undertaking the fellowship or who had finished the fellowship but could not return to Iraq to contribute to the rebuilding of the Iraqi higher education system by delivering live-streamed lectures and sometimes full courses in collaboration with professors in Iraq. And so it was a highly successful program. It just wrapped up in 2022, but it was an interesting and successful model for leveraging the Iraqi diaspora to support the continued development or redevelopment of Iraqi higher education. See if I can get it to change. Okay, here we go. So, of course, as a part of all of this work over the last 14 months, Ukraine has become a focus of what we're doing. Since February 2022, it's been a fairly small scale effort. We have awarded fellowships to 14 Ukrainian scholars who are in a number of fields. So our program is not limited to any specific academic fields. We support scholars in the humanities, the social sciences, across the STEM fields. We are prioritizing among Ukrainian applicants scholars who would undertake their fellowships in Poland or other nearby countries. We recognize the immense work that Polish institutions and organizations like NAWA have put into providing opportunities for Ukrainians in partnership with Ukrainian counterparts, of course, but also organizations that are represented here today from Slovakia and the Czech Republic, for example, who are also providing lots of opportunities. And we're hoping through our work that we can supplement these efforts. So far in Poland, we are working with these 5 host institutions, many of which are represented here at this conference, and we're grateful for our work with your institutions. We've also supported a few scholars from Ukraine in Latvia, Lithuania, and in Germany. Oh, thank you. That's helpful. Okay, so what's next for this work in Ukraine? The message that I have on this note is actually quite simple, which is we want to do more. I find it incredibly useful, and I'm honored to be here today to speak to all of you, to learn from you about what we can do to support more and to better support Ukrainian researchers, particularly in Poland. We accept applications on a rolling basis, so we take them at any time, and we are actively soliciting applications from Ukrainian researchers at all times, particularly those who would like to stay and conduct their research in Poland. So individual scholars are who apply to our program, but we are happy to receive referrals from institutions in Poland or in other countries. Maybe if you're already working with Ukrainian researchers that need a funded opportunity at your university, that's a scenario that's a very efficient and attractive way for us to receive applications. That said, applicants are not required to apply with a host. If there is a Ukrainian researcher who's looking for a funded opportunity, we're happy to receive an application from that person and then help them find a host institution if they're selected for our fellowship. You can find more information about our application process and our eligibility on our website, which I realize you can't exactly click on here on the PowerPoint, but it is on our website. And that concludes my presentation here. So I hope that this has planted a seed for some of you about what Scholar Rescue Fund can do with some of your institutions and opportunities that may exist for Ukrainian researchers in Poland. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Borzik. And now we would like to invite to the stage Dr. Maja Kukla from the United States National Science Foundation.
Bardzo dziękujemy pani dyrektor i teraz zapraszamy na scenę panią dr Maję Kuklę, dyrektor programową Narodowej Fundacji Nauki ze Stanów Zjednoczonych.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming. And I would like to thank NAWA for inviting me to this meeting. I am very happy to be here and talk to you a little bit about what we have. So my presentation is about NSF opportunities for international collaboration, or easier to say, how to collaborate with America. Okay? My name is Maya Kukla. I work as program director at the National Science Foundation more than 20 years now. I'm also an active researcher, and I'm professor at the University of Maryland, where my group is housed and where we are doing research. So at NSF, I work at the Office of International Science and Engineering, and I will tell you more about many of things which we have at NSF. So who we are at NSF and what is it? National Science Foundation is an independent government agency which supports fundamental research and education in all fields of science. And our motto is where discoveries begin. This is our new building, which we recently moved to. So if I need to explain what NSF is about in one slide, that's what I would show. Okay, so, and we call it NSF by numbers. So 94% of our budget goes to support research at American universities and other organizations. We are very efficient, only 5 to 6% goes to operational cost at NSF. So our budget this year was a little bit short of $10 billion, and we think it's not nearly enough. We think we are poor because we don't have enough money to fund all projects we want to fund. So we receive annually anything between 40 and 55,000 proposals. So the number for 43,000 proposals was last year, and this was kind of reduced submission. We think it was because of COVID, but there may be other factors which contributed to that. Out of these 40 to 55,000 proposals, we annually make about 11,000 awards. So success rate is low, competition is very high, and only few submissions are actually being funded. We fund approximately 2,000 institutions at America, and more than 300,000 people, okay, who are working on the research. About 1.5 billion, a little bit more this year actually, goes to support STEM education and research in education field. And 255 millions go to support, or at seed, kind of we call it, public-private partnerships, which means that this money goes to private organizations, small businesses and other businesses to translate fundamental research, which was funded by NSF some time ago, into marketplace, right? And make this tech transfer, start manufacturing, and making some goods and services for the society. And we are proud to say that we supported 258 Nobel Prize winners before they received Nobel Prize, right? Everybody is happy to fund them when they receive Nobel Prize. So we fund them before that. And it doesn't do. So what we do, I mean, we support research, right? We fund proposals to promote the progress of science, to advance the national health, prosperity, and welfare, to secure the national defense. That's our mission statement, right? So that's what we do. So at the picture, you can see illustrations of 8 disciplinary directorates, which we have at NSF, and which receive majority of proposals. My office does not belong to these disciplinary directorates. We reside actually under Office of the Director. And the directorates are dedicated to biosciences, geosciences, computer information sciences, STEM education, engineering, mathematical physical sciences, social and economic sciences, and our newest directorate is called TIP. It's Technology and Innovation Partnerships. It will be mostly focused on applied research and kind of transferring the fundamental discoveries into marketplace. So how we do it? We announce funding opportunities, we review proposals which we receive, and we issue awards. Sound kind of simple, right? We also support facilities. Majority of these facilities are in America, but we do support research infrastructure all over the world, wherever it's built or needs to be built. So you can see at the picture that we cover actually the whole world with unique instrumentation and facilities in the research infrastructure. So if we talk more about international, right? So we like to think about ourselves that we are agency with national mission, but international impact, okay? So, and if we talk more about specifics of international collaboration, I mean, there are many possibilities, right? So the first line says, proposals submitted to NSF disciplinary programs. That means that any proposal submitted to NSF, any single proposal submitted to NSF, to any program, any directorate, anywhere, can have international collaboration as integral part of this proposal with any country in the world, okay? And majority of international collaborative proposals are actually funded not from our office, not from Office of International Science and Engineering, but from disciplinary directorates, okay? Regular core programs, any proposal can have collaboration with international researchers. There are also targeted opportunities, and I will give some examples of what they are. We also support workshops and conferences. We support a lot of diplomacy by NSF. There are also programs which reside in our office, and they target international collaboration. Usually, the proposals which are submitted to our office, they are not proposals that just benefit from international collaboration. They require international collaboration, which means that this research cannot be done without partners, okay? That's our specifics, kind of. That's what our office supports. Typically, these proposals have to do something unique. They have to provide, for example, access and open opportunities that are not attainable in the US for US researchers. That's why our office kind of offers these opportunities and fund these proposals. I will talk more about specific programs in our office. As to funding mechanisms, we have plenty already at NSF implemented, and this is if we want to partner with some agency abroad, or agency wants to partner with us. We, for example, can partner with NAVA, right? So, and this could be done within a lead agency opportunity, and I can explain more what does it mean. We also can issue joint solicitations with our partners, or we can fund supplements to existing NSF awards. And this is pretty simple to do. I will show you a little bit about this too. So this map shows you NSF awards with collaborative international activities within the last 5 years, right? And you can see that top countries, the list is top 15 countries with which American scientists collaborate. So on the top is UK and Germany, and they usually are a tie. So the largest number of collaborative proposals are with scientists in UK or Germany. And closely follow is France, and there are other countries. I would like to draw your attention that neither Poland or Ukraine is on the list, okay? While they could be, okay? So, and I would like you to encourage to think about it and maybe be more proactive in collaborating with American institutions and American scientists. So workshops are the easiest proposal to fund for international collaboration. So there's some specifics are listed here, but what is important and what the message I would like you kind of to get from this mode of funding. Workshops funded by NSF could take place anywhere in the world. They don't have to be in America, right? International workshops funded by my office, for example, they have to take place abroad. And the workshops can be fully covered by NSF, or they could be jointly funded by NSF and the national agency of the country where the workshop is taking place. It's rather easy to submit proposal for organizing a workshop, and it's rather quick. It can be reviewed quickly at NSF. The review is still the same rigorous. We review all proposals against intellectual merit and broader impact, and sometimes additional program-specific criteria. But decisions on workshops can be done pretty quickly, and sometimes they can be reviewed internally only, which means that program director, if he/she is expert in the field of this workshop, can decide by themselves if they want to fund it or not, and not even go out for external reviewers asking their opinions. So joint solicitation is another mode of funding for collaborating, for NSF partnering with some agency abroad, for example, NAVA or NCN or National Science Foundation of Ukraine, and so forth. So joint solicitation usually encourage proposals in specific program, interest, emerging area, something new, something of common interest to both countries or funding agencies. This joint solicitation would be publication of soliciting proposals, and this is a message for the community to explain how to prepare such proposals and how to submit them. So it usually will have all information about funding entities and their interests, also instruction on how to submit proposal, what is important and what should be included. Typically, funding for such solicitations is allocated upfront, right? And all agencies have to allocate something and agree that that's the money they're going to dedicate to the program. In real life, funding could be different than it was originally allocated, but some agreement and some allocation is always done before the publication of a new program is published. So here are some examples of this kind of joint solicitations in partnership, okay? Ecology and evolution of infectious diseases. And partners on this solicitation are NIH, it's National Institute of Health of the US, USDA, so both are American domestic agencies who are partnering with NSF on this program, but also UK, Israel, and China are included in this program. This is a new program just announced last year, so competition is ongoing right now. So another example is collaborative research in computational neuroscience. Right? The program exists for several years now, and partners are joining. I mean, we have more partners every year in this program. So in this particular call, which is again ongoing right now, is NIH, DOE, Germany, France, Israel, Japan, Spain. So they are our partners on this program. Right? Biodiversity on a changing planet. I mean, partners are Brazil, China, South Africa. These are just examples. We have dozens of calls like that, right, with partnering agencies in other countries. So I would like to talk more now about specifically programs in our office, Office of International Science and Engineering, and I said before, we reside under Office of the Director of NSF. So we do serve as a focal point for all international NSF engagement, and we do a lot of diplomacy. My own country portfolio, for example, includes all post-Soviet countries, including Baltics, Russia, Ukraine, and everything else, which used to be called the Soviet Union. So our office catalyzes international collaborations that create new and innovative ways to advance frontiers of research, open opportunities for students and researchers usually not attainable in the US, or garner access to research infrastructure to enable discovery and encourage learning anywhere in the world. And that was too quick. So here is Global Centers. This is our newest program. It's just announced, okay, a couple of weeks ago. So Global Centers is youth-inspired research addressing global challenges in climate change and clean energy. New solicitation proposals are crafted as we speak. I encourage you to pay attention to this program, please. It has 2 tracks. So one track is Global Centers implementation. These are rather large proposals in collaboration with Australia, Canada, and UK. So, of course, researchers from any countries can participate in these centers, but joint funding will be provided within this competition only from Australia, Canada, and US, okay? Which does not prevent, again, Poland or Ukraine to participate in this competition and form collaborations with American scientists to submit proposals. Of course, NSF will cover only American part of this collaboration, right? So Global Centers Track 1 are implementation phase, and they are rather large proposals. So funding will be jointly provided by all these 4 countries, including US. NSF part only of this funding is up to $5 million. This is not nearly as large as usual NSF-funded research centers are. NSF centers can be funded at the level of 20 to 40 or $50 million. So these centers are kind of small. They are just starting. These are seed funding. But if our 5 million is leveraged by other partners 5 million each. That makes pretty large effort and pretty large centers. So what is even more attractive, I think, for this audience, and I'm happy that Polish leadership of universities and Ukrainian leadership of universities is here, so this information, I hope, will be useful for you and your institutions. So track 2 is smaller kind of effort. This is design proposals. So we sometimes call it planning grants, but I hate this title because who is paying for planning grants? I mean, this is design. This is to start collaboration, to get the group together and start planning for something bigger. This bigger could be global centers in the next round of the competition or other opportunities from NSF or elsewhere, okay? The budget is smaller. It's $250,000 per award. Award will last up to 2 years. And this is open to the world. So these 4 agencies and 4 countries have nothing to do with track 2. So it's open to anyone, right? So deadline for submission of proposals is May 10. You have the whole month to prepare a proposal. Please get together and do this. Our office does run office hours. Our program directors are very accessible. You can actually make a phone call to program director and ask questions about the program and ask ideas how to craft your proposal better. They will help you, right? Definitely you want to talk to your American partners, right? And make them also to make the phone call. All webinars and office hours are open to the world. They are not limited to American institutions and American scientists. Information about open hours and office hours for each program can be found on the website. Here is another program which is also ran from our office. It's called International Research Experience for Students. It also has 2 tracks. Okay? Track 1 is called IRIS Sites. And that means that it's faculty-led student cohorts. How does it work? I mean, the American professor recruit students, not necessarily from their group. It's actually, recruitment could be from anywhere, from different institutions, different universities, could be nationwide, could be from the same institution. But all students cannot come from the same research group, right? It has to be a larger group. Undergraduate students, graduate students, postdocs, even school teachers are okay to participate. So then professor takes the students and bring them abroad and places them in a foreign lab to participate in real ongoing research projects under mentorship of foreign scientists, right? Which means that some group of students can come to Poland and be stationed at some of Polish institutions to participate in real research which is ongoing right now in Polish institutions, okay? So in this way, our students, our American students, I mean, some of them are foreigners, of course, will form their own professional networks for the future, right? And they will integrate kind of with the research community all over the world. So track 2 is smaller effort. It's Advanced Studies Institutes for graduate students. But again, it can take place anywhere in the world, fully covered by NSF, including invited speakers and foreign students who are coming to take part of these opportunities abroad. Another program at our office, it's called AxelNet. This is also an active program right now. Competition is ongoing. And this is for networks. It's network-to-network collaborations. So this is to kind of cross-fertilization of ideas. It's for communities who usually don't talk to each other, right? Suddenly there is an opportunity and there is something interesting and new which is going on, and these networks need to talk to each other, kind of to explore some opportunities. Cybersecurity is good example here. Your effort about European universities is good example here, right? It's very much eligible and interesting that what can be done. Of course, this is for research, right? It's not education per se. This is research opportunity for these networks to build communities, to talk to each other, to explore new opportunities, emerging fields, or something new. Program also has 2 tracks. Design awards, smaller, up to 250,000 over 2 years, and implementation awards, which are close to 2 million, and they will last from 3 to 5 years. So I mentioned supplements, right? Supplement is also a very simple mode of operation at NSF, which means that any proposal which is already funded by NSF, right, is eligible for additional money. So proposal is submitted to NSF, went through rigorous review process, and if it was recommended for funding, now research is ongoing, and suddenly these principal investigators decided that they want to expand their project to do something else, which was not anticipated at the beginning where they submitted the proposal. So for example, they want to expand their project to include international collaboration. For example, they want to collaborate with Ukrainians now, or with Polish scientists now, or both, right? So what they do, they make a phone call to their program director at NSF and say, okay, I have this guy who is very interesting, they are doing research which is complementary to mine, I want to collaborate with him or her and their students, why don't you give me some more money, right? And the program director said, yeah, okay, here is the check, right? So it's pretty simple, does not require any additional external review. Program director can decide on their own if they want to fund this supplement. Usually we do. Two most popular supplements at NSF are supplements for international collaboration and supplements for so-called REU. This is a research experience for undergraduate students. For example, the proposal was written for graduate students and postdocs, and suddenly Professor see very advanced undergraduate student at their institution who is interested in doing this research. The small money to support undergraduate research can be easily provided to expand this project and include undergraduates. Here you can see examples of some published special opportunities to provide supplements. So we call it Dear Colleague letter, just because it's less formal solicitation of proposals. This is just opportunity which is announced and published, right? So opportunity for supplements doesn't have to be published, but sometimes we do that for targeted opportunities. So these examples are exactly this, right? So one example is Future of International Research Collaboration post-COVID. It was actually announced when COVID was in full power, and we wanted to learn what impact it made on international collaboration, and also what would be future of international collaboration. It's that time when we learned that international collaboration does not have to necessarily include travel. It could be done by Zoom, Skype, and other ways. Under this solicitation, specific new platforms were developed by our scientists, which are way more advanced than Zoom. Okay, so for example, we have platforms now which allow remote experimentation, not just watching what is going on the other hand of the planet where people are performing experiment, but also it's synchronized in such a way that you can push the buttons at this lab kind of and on another side of the planet while you are sitting somewhere at American institution, for example, right? So I think this could be very useful actually for Ukraine right now, and for Polish collaborations as well, and for collaborations across the world, right? So we learned many, many things from proposals under this solicitation. To give you a little bit of statistics, I mean, we received 112 inquiries under this. I was running this program, right? So under this Dear Colleague letter, it's organized in such a way that also principal investigators have to make a phone call to the program director to ask, here's my idea, does it fit within your program, can I submit the proposal? Proposals are by invitation only, so if program directors allows to submit the proposal, it will be submitted, and only then it will go through review. Review was only internal for this competition, so out of 112 inquiries, we invited only 13 proposals, and 11 of them were funded, okay? So another opportunity is Dear Colleague letter, also research collaboration opportunity in Europe for NSF awardees. So this is also, I think, useful for this audience, because what it does, I mean, these are principal investigators who are already funded by NSF. And these are small supplemental money which allow them to go to European institutions and do some research in collaboration on the research of their funded proposal somewhere abroad. we, NSF, funds for their overseas tickets and sometime insurance or their family if they want to take them with them. And host institution covers the local expenses. Poland is among countries who are participating, but mostly it's for Europe. So the most popular destinations are UK and Germany, but of course the whole Europe is open. So Poland could be active in this. I'm not sure about Ukraine, how they will go to Ukraine right now, but Poland could be kind of conduit for this. Another opportunity targeted here is international collaboration supplements in quantum information science and engineering. Everything quantum is hot topic now, right? So we do have several programs dedicated to quantum. So these are particular opportunities to expand what is already funded by NSF to include international collaboration and international partners anywhere in the world. And just to, do I have a minute to, or do I? Okay. So what I would like to say, there are a couple of messages which I would like you to take home, right? So there are plenty of opportunities at NSF which are not necessarily taking advantage of. So I encourage you to do that, right? So we are very open, we are very flexible, we do support research anywhere in the world. We do like international collaboration, we promote it everywhere we can, okay? So based on what I saw here, I would like to tell you that we at NSF were extremely impressed, right? Let me go back just for a second. So under this dear colleague letter, when we issued the call for future of international research collaboration, and we learned that international could be done in many different ways on forums, and COVID is so terrible that it's just, oh man, right? So we had a bad joke at NSF, which was, well, COVID is nothing. This is just a rehearsal for something worse coming. And it was a joke. And then February 24th happened, right? And people said, okay, that's what we were waiting for, right? So this was kind of a rehearsal. But yes, at NSF, we were very impressed how Poland and Baltics together were among the first countries to provide help to Ukraine, and how Polish institutions offered opportunities for Ukrainian researchers to come here and stay here, for students to continue their studies, right? So America is also open to that, but we understand we are far away, right? Poland is close, it's right here. But I would still encourage you to take advantage of opportunities which NSF provides for international collaboration. I am here, I am happy to answer your questions, maybe during lunchtime or break. And if you need more information, I do respond to emails usually. So feel free to write. Thank you for your attention.
Bardzo dziękujemy, pani doktor. Szanowni Państwo, już za moment rozpoczniemy pierwszy panel drugiego dnia konferencji poświęcony inicjatywom samorządowym. Moderatorem tego panelu będzie pan Marcin Witkowski, twórca i koordynator pierwszego na Uniwersytecie imienia Adama Mickiewicza Welcome Center. A o tym, jak samorządy współpracują z ośrodkami akademickimi na rzecz wsparcia uchodźców z Ukrainy, dyskutować będą.
Thank you, Dr. Kukla. In a moment, we will start the first panel of the second day of the conference Focus on Ukraine, related to local initiatives. The moderator of this panel will be Mr. Marcin Witkowski, creator and coordinator of the first Welcome Center at the Adam Mickiewicz University in Poznań, and his panelist will be
Przedstawicielka Urzędu Miasta Lublin, pani Wiktoria Herun, kierownik referatu wspierania akademickości, Wydział Strategii i Przedsiębiorczości.
Representative of the Lublin City Hall, Mrs. Veronika Herun, Head of the Academic Support Department and Strategy Department.
Pani Iryna Ozymok, menedżer programów do spraw lokalnego rozwoju ekonomicznego z Western NIS Enterprise Fund.
Mrs. Irina Ozymok, Local Economic Development Programs Manager with Western Enterprise Funds.
Z Urzędu Miasta Poznań pani Anna Wawdysz, zastępca dyrektora Wydziału Rozwoju Miasta i Współpracy Międzynarodowej, pełnomocnik prezydenta miasta Poznania do spraw młodzieży i współpracy akademickiej.
From the Poznań City Hall, Mrs. Anna Wawrzydysz, Deputy Director of the Department of City Development and International Cooperation, Plenipotentiary of the Mayor of Poznań for Youth and Academic Cooperation.
Oraz pan Mirosław Lebiedź, kierownik projektu Study in Wrocław, Agencja Rozwoju Aglomeracji Wrocławskiej S.A.
And Mr. Mirosław Lebiedź, Study in Wrocław Project Manager, Wrocław Agglomeration Development Agency.
Dziękujemy bardzo. Dzień
Thank
dobry
you very
Państwu.
much and
Dobrego
welcome.
ranku. Proszę Państwa,
Ladies and
obudźmy się
gentlemen,
troszkę.
let's
Proponuję,
wake
jeżeli
up
mówimy w
a
Polsce czy w
little
Ukrainie wszystko
in
jedno,
Poland and in
dobrego
Ukraine.
ranku,
If we say good morning,
prosimy o odpowiedź. Dobrego ranku.
we need an answer. Good morning.
Tak jest, proszę Państwa.
That's
To
right.
już jest dobry poziom
Yes,
energii na
that's
tym
a
panelu.
better level of energy
Drodzy
for the
Państwo,
panel.
wczoraj przy otwarciu
Yesterday, when
konferencji
there was
dyrektor
the
Narodowej
conference was
Agencji, pan
opened, the
dr.
Director
Kostecki
General of
bardzo
NAWA,
lapidarnie
Mr. Dawid Kostecki,
połączył
was very
to, co ważne
briefly
na
connected
poziomie
what is
symbolicznym w
important on the
pomocy
symbolic level
naszym ukraińskim
in helping our
sąsiadom,
Ukrainian
mówiąc o
neighbors.
genie solidarności.
Speaking of the solidarity
wstępem
DNA or
wolności.
gene of
Mam
solidarity.
wrażenie, że w wszystkich naszych miastach, które są
He
reprezentowane
put all
przez
these ideas
dzisiejszych
together, and I think
panelistów,
that all these cities that
jedno
are
i drugie,
represented by our
ten
panelists
solidarnościowy gen
have this
pomocy razem z
solidarity
tętniącym
gene
życiem
of helping,
miasta i
and
pracą
there is
na
the
co dzień
thriving
każdego z
city
naszych
and
gości
daily work of our
znakomicie
guests.
uzupełniał
I think
to,
that
co
all
codzienne
this
i prozaiczne, o czym później
complements
chwilę
all
wspomniała
that is
pani
mundane,
dyrektor Magdalena Kachnowicz,
which
mówiąc
Director
o
Magdalena
doświadczeniach
Kachnowicz
ludzi,
described when she
których my
talked
wszyscy
about the
na
experience
co
of
dzień
people
znamy,
that
w
we
tym
know
mówiącym te
on a
słowa,
daily
ludźmi,
basis.
którzy w pierwszych dniach
People
po
who in the
agresji
first days
rosyjskiej
after
na
Russia's aggression
Ukrainę
on Ukraine
wychodzili z własnych domów,
left their
za własne
homes
pieniądze
and
kupowali
spent their own money
niezbędne,
to buy
potrzebne
the
rzeczy pierwszej
necessities,
pomocy, jedzenie,
food,
picie,
drink,
elementy do przewijania pomocy dzieciom,
and
niemowlakom, które przyjeżdżały
baby
z babciami,
articles
matkami,
to help
ciotkami.
change the
Ja
babies who
pamiętam, proszę
came here
Państwa,
with the
pierwsze te dni
grandmothers
w
and mothers.
Poznaniu,
I remember those
kiedy myśmy
initial days
dopiero
in
co
Poznań when
wprowadzili się
we
do nowej
only
siedziby Welcome
just
Center na UAM.
opened the Welcome
centrum miasta
Center
w
at our
ogóle wyjątkowa
university
przestrzeń,
in
mogę
the
Państwu
city
powiedzieć.
center. It's a
Pierwsza
unique
taka na mapie
space, the
Poznania,
first
ale
such
zostaliśmy od razu wrzuceni także
space
na głęboką wodę.
on the
W
city
tych
map.
pierwszych dniach
But
powstały
we
w Poznaniu
started at the deep
3
end
grupy
right from the start, and 3 groups
facebookowe.
were
Pierwsza o znamiennym
established on
tytule
Facebook. The first one,
PKP 22:47 Peron Prąd.
PKP
W tej grupie znalazło się ponad 3,5 tysiąca
22-47
osób,
hours, platform
które od
2,
pierwszych dni
and there
zbierały
were
się
3,000
spontanicznie,
people
bez
there
tak naprawdę
who went
koordynacji czy
there
pomocy
spontaneously without
z
any
żadnej z
coordination
centralnych czy
from
lokalnych
any central or
instytucji.
local institution.
Ale byli to ludzie,
People
którzy
just
bardzo
went there to that
czuli
platform
tenże
at a
właśnie
railway
gen
station
wolności i solidarności, o
to
którym mówił pan
receive
dyrektor.
people from Ukraine
Druga grupa
because
powstała
they felt
kilka dni
this
później dosłownie,
solidarity in their DNA.
która
The
również
second
wspierała
group
się
was
na
set
dworcu
up
głównym
just a couple of
PKP,
days
która
ago,
pomagała w
also
kierowaniu
at
tłumów
the central railway
przyjeżdżających
station. They
tymi pierwszymi
gathered there
pociągami do
and they
Poznania
helped
na
the people who
międzynarodowe targi
came in those
poznańskie,
initial
później do
trains
poznańskiej
to Poznań, to the
dlatego
first to
chciałbym w
the
pierwszym
Poznań
rzędzie
International Fair
zwrócić się
buildings
do naszych
and later to the
panelistów
Poznań
dzisiaj,
Arena Sports and
żeby ze
Entertainment
swojej
Hall.
perspektywy
So I
powiedzieli
would
nam
like you,
najpierw,
our panelists,
czym
to tell
de
us from your
facto
perspective
zajmują się w relacji do współpracy z uchodźcami i z uczelniami
is
w swoich macierzystych miastach
what
i
you are
jak te
doing in
pierwsze dni
relationship with
pierwsze
the
tygodnie
Ukrainians, and
wspominają
how do
oni,
you
jakie
recollect
zmiany wtedy w
those
tych pierwszych
first
dniach były
initial
najważniejsze,
days, and what
co się de
changes
facto
were the most
wydarzyło.
important
I może
then,
zaczniemy od
what
naszego gościa
happened.
specjalnego,
And
pani
let's start
Iryny
with our special
Ozymok,
guest,
która
Irina
reprezentuje
Ozymok,
dwie
who
instytucje,
represents
bo z
two
jednej strony
institutions. On the
Fundusz
one hand,
Przedsiębiorstw
the
WNIS, a z drugiej strony
Western
International
NIS
Mayors
Entertainment
Summit. Pani
Enterprise
Iryno,
Fund
2
and
słowa, jaka
Western
relacja
Mayors
tych
Summit
dwóch
as well.
instytucji do współpracy z
And
Polską,
so what is
z
the
polskimi
relationship
uczelniami,
of
jakie
these
znaczenie
institutions
dla Ukrainy?
with Polish universities and institutions? Thank you very much for inviting me, and I apologize that I can't speak in Polish like I would like to, so, but if I may, I will continue in Ukrainian. by all means.
Насправді дуже дякую. І, я дякую як
I am
українка.
indeed very grateful
Від себе
as a
особисто
Ukrainian
і
person,
також від українців за всю
personally from
допомогу, яку
myself, but
українці
also on
отримали.
behalf of all
Бо
Ukrainians,
в мене є
for
особиста
all
історія.
the
Я
help
приїхала
that Ukrainians
до
received, because I
Польщі
have a personal
з
story.
7-тижневою
I
дитиною. Так,
came to
тобто, коли було
Poland
тільки 7
with
тижнів.
a baby
І
that
для
was
мене ця
7
підтримка
weeks
була
old.
просто колосальна,
And
і
to
це був
me,
такий
this support
порятунок,
was
тому
colossal
надзвичайно
indeed. It
вам
was a
вдячна.
saving
Але
grace.
в нас не було часу на
That's why I am extremely grateful.
таких, знаєте,
But
на
we
якісь
didn't
жалів. Я
have
думаю, українці якраз
any
дуже
time
швидко
for
зібралися.
any
З містами
sadness
ми
or
побачили,
being
що
regretful. I think
нарешті
Ukrainians very
партнерство
quickly
між містами, і,
saw that
зокрема, те, що ми
finally
називаємо
partnerships
sister
between
cities
cities,
або
what we refer
міста
to
побратими,
as
вони
sister
почали
cities,
діяти. Напевно, за всю історію
partner
України
cities,
це
that
стала
it's
реальна
finally started to
співпраця
work.
від
And I
великих
think
міст
that
до маленьких міст, так, і
there's this
я
real
теж читаю,
partnership
просто
between
про Варшаву,
larger
Гданськ,
cities and
Люблін ми
towns
багато можемо говорити,
and
але,
Gdansk,
наприклад,
Warsaw,
що цікаво,
Lublin.
що
We can talk a
в
lot
Україні
about
є
it.
місто
But
невеличке
interestingly,
Бурштин, так,
there
там,
is
де є
a
ТЕС, це
Burштyn
дуже
town
важливий
in Ukraine.
інфраструктурний об'єкт. Наприклад, у них
There is
зараз
a power
активна
plant
співпраця з двома польськими містами. Це Барчів і
There's a
Августов.
very
Так,
active
і це
collaboration
теж
between
дуже
them
важливо,
and
що
the
співпраця
Polish cities
відбувається
Barczew and
на
Augustov.
такому
So
навіть
this is very important
рівні.
that
Ми
this
радили,
collaboration
що
also
співпрацю,
happens at that
наприклад,
level.
Вінниці і Кельце,
We were
два
happy
міських
to
голови
see collaboration between
святкували
Vinnytsia
на
and
сцені
Kielce.
міжнародного саміту мерів. Це було
That
2018 року.
two mayors celebrated it in 2018 at City Summit, and this collaboration continues, has continued since that year. And I want to emphasize that the partnership has become a very valuable experience. Secondly, young people are a very important source. We as Ukrainians do our best to maintain or restore the well-being of young people, because they will be building Ukraine. But the experience that they gain in terms of education, because the level of education is high, but there's also a collaboration between the cities. So university is not separate as an entity, but there are those horizontal relationships happening. And apart from that, there is the experience of user experience, so to speak. They can see a different environment, different approaches, different places. So this is also what we would like to take with us. Yes, of course, we will come back to it, because I would like to start a separate round of questions on how you have worked with the specific cities or towns in Poland and Ukraine. But I would like to ask Mirosław from Wrocław to tell us about his reflection on the changes that took place in his city due to the inflow of people who needed help, because we very often get used to speaking about refugees rather than people who need help or international protection. We often refer to a war or a conflict as if Ukraine was here a party that has not always been invaded. But we have to remember that these are very sensitive matters, and the people who came to our towns and cities were also very sensitized to those verbal messages. So, Mirosław, what were the structures, the changes, those first weeks in Wrocław from the point of view of your daily duties? Thank you very much for inviting me to this panel. Thank you to the organizers. Wrocław is a city that has an abundant and at times difficult history. And there are certain events inscribed into it. There were many situations where there was a forced inflow of people. In 1945, the indigenous people from the eastern borderlands of Poland were displaced. They had to leave those areas after the end of the war, and they came to Wrocław. So this support DNA that Marcin referred to at the beginning, this is in our genotype. It is
wpisany w tą
It is part of us,
społeczność
of our
i to
community,
wsparcie jest
and this
bardzo
support
mocno zauważalne.
is very noticeable.
Podobnie jak w Poznaniu,
Like in
przypominam
Poznań,
sobie,
I remember
że
that
mój pierwszy kontakt
my
właśnie
first contact with
z taką inicjatywą społeczną
such a social
był
initiative
oddolny, tak?
was
To
bottom up,
było społeczeństwo, które
because there was a
natychmiast się
community. This was
uformowało, natychmiast grupy powstały.
something that happened
Podobnie
within
na
the
dworcu
community,
powstało
that this
Café Dialog,
groups
które
formed.
momentalnie
Cafe Dialogue was formed as a
zrzeszyło
group,
sobie
which brought
liczną grupę
together
ludzi
many
i
people.
ja również pracując na dworcu jako
I worked at a railway
tłumacz,
station as an
jako kierowca,
interpreter and as a driver.
często spotykałem ludzi
I often met
z urzędu, z
people
uczelni,
from
którzy
local
byli tam jako
authorities,
zwykli
from the city
obywatele
hall,
miasta,
from
nie jako
universities. They were
urzędnicy,
there
jako
as regular
pracownicy
citizens, people of the
oddelegowani,
city,
tylko
not
zwykli,
as officials,
najzwyczajniej obywatele
but
miasta,
they were just
którzy-
regular people,
do
regular
których
citizens.
to wsparcie
to
pomocy było
whom
niesłychanie w tej chwili
giving
ważne.
such support was remarkably important.
Wrocław już przed 24 lutym
Before
miał,
the 24th
miał
of
ogromną
February,
społeczność ukraińską.
Wrocław already had a big
Zamieszkiwało tam
Ukrainian
ponad 100
community.
tysięcy Ukraińców, obywateli Ukrainy
Over
i
40,000
dla
Ukrainians
wielu
lived
z
there.
nich i jakby
And
zaangażowanie
to
w
many
te działania
of them, getting
było
engaged
pewnym
in those
panaceum,
activities
pewną
was a
taką
certain medicine, so to speak,
naturalną
a
reakcją, a
natural
jednocześnie
reaction, natural response.
takim lekarstwem
But
na to, żeby w sobie troszeczkę
This kind
stłumić
of
ten
medicine
ból,
in order to
ten strach
sort of stifle this
i
pain, this
aktywna
fear,
działalność pozwalała im na to,
and
żeby
being active
na
allowed
chwilę
them
myśleć o tym,
to
żeby pomóc.
think for a while about
Oczywiście
helping
miasto
rather
już
than anything
wtedy
else.
zaczęło działać
The
bardzo
city
systemowo.
started to
Należy
take
pamiętać,
systemic
że z
measures
racji tej,
as
że
well,
ukraińska społeczność
because
w
the
Wrocławiu
Ukrainian
jest bardzo
community
liczna.
is very large in Wrocław.
Pracuje tam mnóstwo
There are
organizacji, mnóstwo
plenty of
instytucji, które
organizations
wspierają
and
Ukraińców.
institutions that support
I te
Ukrainians.
procedury
And the
wsparcia,
procedures of
różne
support,
punkty
various
konsultacyjne, one już w
consultation
Wrocławiu
centers,
istniały.
they have already
Należało je
existed in
w jakiś
Wrocław.
sposób
And
bardziej
we
dostosować
had to adapt
do
them
potrzeb wojennych
to
uchodźców.
the wartime needs of
Naturalnie
refugees.
te sceny
Of
były
course,
niesłychanie
those
wzruszające
scenes
na
we
dworcu.
witnessed were extremely moving at the railway
Należało też
station.
pracować z
We
wolontariuszami, bo
need
tak jak
to work with volunteers as well.
pani profesor z
Like
UPS-u wspominała,
the
że nie
professor
każdy
from
psycholog się
the
nadaje do pracy
SWPS University
z
said,
uchodźcami,
not
tak
every
samo nie
psychologist
każdy
is able to
wolontariusz się
work
nadaje. To nie
with the
jest
refugees, and
zwykły
not every
wolontariat
volunteer can do it.
imprezowy
It's
czy
not
jakiś
like being a volunteer
misyjny.
at an
To jest
event.
wolontariat, który jest naprawdę
It's
wymaga
volunteering
odpowiedniego
that
szkolenia.
requires
Nad tym też
training,
należało pracować.
and we had to work on it too.
Drugi aspekt to
Another
bezpieczeństwo
aspect
tych
is
ludzi.
the safety of the people.
Nie dochodziło do jakichkolwiek nadużyć, ale
There
też
were
musieliśmy pamiętać,
no
że
incidents,
rzesza ludzi, którzy przychodzi na dwory,
but
żeby
need
zabrać
to
tych
remember
ludzi do
that there
domu,
was a huge
też powinna
group
być w
of
jakiś
people
sposób
who came to the
koordynowana,
railway station to
weryfikowana i
pick the
ten
Ukrainians
aspekt
up,
bezpieczeństwa też był
but we had to
niesłychanie
vet them
ważny.
somehow, verify to ensure the safety of the
Następnie
incoming
te wszystkie,
refugees.
ten cały
And
ośrodek na dworcu,
this whole
on
center at the railway
następnie
station,
zaczął się rozrastać. Były
it grew
później
larger.
powstawały jadłodajnie, punkt
Then
medyczny, później powstał punkt
food
weterynaryjny.
halls were established, and then the
Mnóstwo ludzi
medical
przynosiło,
center, and then
produkty pierwszej
people would
potrzeby.
bring first
Był post na
necessities.
Facebooku,
There was a
po
post
południu
put out
już
on
w holu było
Facebook, we need
120
prams,
wózków
and there were
fundowani
120
różnego typu.
prams
Tak więc to było,
in the
widać
afternoon
było, że
with various
społeczeństwo,
necessities
szukało,
inside. So the
informacji, w
community
jaki
was
sposób
looking
gdzie
for
mogą
information
No
on
właśnie, to
how
jest
and where they can
część
help.
tych niezwykłych historii,
Right, so
proszę
this
Państwa,
is,
których
these
mam
are
wrażenie,
those
że my
stories,
po roku za
remarkable
mało
stories,
mówimy
and
sami sobie,
we,
przypominając w
a year
Polsce,
on, we
ile
speak too little
zostało
of
już
them,
dobrego zrobione.
about
Ja
how
pamiętam, że
much good
my,
has been done
korzystając
here
w UAM
already.
z faktu, że
I remember
mamy
that at our
filologię
university in
od
Poznań,
razu
we have
mieliśmy dostępne
Ukrainian
słowniczek
faculty as well
podstawowych pojęć
there, and
polsko-ukraińskich.
immediately we came up with a
Pamiętam
glossary
dwie
of
pierwsze
necessary
frazy po
terms
ukraińsku,
between Polish and Ukrainian. And the first phrases in Ukrainian that I learned, being in contact with children who came with their parents or caregivers on those trains to Poznań, and that was Kicia Babyna and Mamyna Czereszenka. So these were the phrases, and the response of those kids after traveling for so many hours and in fear, their reaction was priceless. So let's continue this topic. Poznań has taken a lot of initiatives to work with universities. Please tell us a little bit about your daily work with universities, especially in the context of helping people who come from Ukraine. I work with universities on a daily basis, and in those initial days, let me tell you about collaboration in those early days between higher education institutions. Poznań, to begin with, might seem a choice that is not obvious for the people from Ukraine, even from the top, from the central authorities. We had signals that perhaps you don't need a reception point that's on such a scale in Poznań, because it's not like the towns and cities in the east or Warsaw. But we decided to book locations at the Poznań International Fair buildings. But the scale turned out to be huge. To some people, it was a destination. To some of them, it was a transit point on their way further west.
Pamiętam, że kilkadziesiąt tysięcy PESEL-i, czy też około 60 tysięcy
several dozen thousand personal numbers were issued, or even tickets for public transport. And now, looking at various indexes and data, we estimate that there are about 70,000 people from Ukraine. And there are 90,000 foreigners in all. So this is a really large group, and this of course includes temporary workers who were there before, of course students, and people who have permanent residence. There are just several thousand of those. So those early days were about all hands on deck, because the scale proved to be really enormous. Universities themselves got involved greatly in Poznań, and what needs mentioning is that two universities gave up the space, for example, the sports halls, for temporary accommodation for refugees. It's not just about the Poznań International Fair and the Poznań Arena, but also the universities. And this can be confirmed by the head of international cooperation from the Economic Universities, Agata Mieczkowska, or the Poznań University of Technology. I don't know if Dr. Śmietała is still here, and Olga Biklina as well from the International Collaboration Department. They will confirm that these measures were on a very large scale. In the case of the Economic University, an agreement was signed with the city. The city was the mediator in providing funds from the central fund in order for the university to be an operator of sorts, and the university did the coordination on its own. In Poznań University of Technology, I think they had an agreement with the voivodeship, with the regional authorities, and then there were NGOs, for example, at other universities who coordinated the work, because the third sector is a big part, I got to say, and these people are very well networked. And some of the activities of the city and various programs that do this networking for local leaders from NGOs. Right, we are going to talk about the NGOs and the third sector. Yes, I have other examples from universities, but now I would just keep describing them. So thank you very much. Victoria, please tell us from the perspective of this city that is almost on the front line near Przemyśl or Rzeszów, eastern Poland, the way
twoja
you
praca,
received the
jak się
people in
zmieniła
those
po
early
pierwszych
days?
dniach
How
czy
did your work
tygodniach?
change
Jaką
in those
rolę w
first
tym
days
pełniły
or
lubelskie
weeks, and
uczelnie?
what role was played by Lublin universities? First of all, thank you to the organizers for selecting this topic and allowing us as the cities to tell you about
Ja zacznę może od 21
this from
lutego,
our
kiedy mieliśmy
perspective.
spotkanie w Lublinie
I'll
z
start
wojewodą,
with an early meeting with the
z
governor of the
Chcieliśmy
region
usłyszeć
and
od wojewody,
university
że
authorities.
jesteśmy przygotowani,
We
gdyby coś się
wanted
działo
to
i że wszystko jest
hear
okej,
from
i to zapewnienie
from our governor that we are prepared,
za
and
złe,
we
że tak
have
nieładnie nas
been
oszukano, że system jest
told that
przygotowany
the system
i
is
nie martwcie
prepared,
się,
and we
wszystko
are
jest pod kontrolą.
unhappy that we were deceived because the system was not ready.
Osobiście dla
On
mnie,
the
jak i dla
24th
moich rodaków z Ukrainy,
of February, to me and my
ciężko się wspomina ten
compatriots
dzień,
from
więc
Ukraine,
najpierw 3
this is
godziny
a very
rozpaczy,
difficult thing. First,
a
3 hours
później
of despair,
wzięcie się w
and then
garść
pulling
i
yourself
ze
together.
względu na wielkie, nie wiem, doświadczenia,
And
kontakty,
due to
fantastyczną
those
współpracę i z uczelniami, i z
huge
organizacjami
contacts, immense contacts
pozarządowymi,
with the
ten telefon, że o
universities
9:00 widzimy
and
się u prezydenta,
NGOs, we
każdy,
had a
kto
phone
jest
call.
zainteresowany, bo musimy się
At 9 there's a
przygotować,
meeting at the
że
mayor's
zaraz się
office.
będzie działo
We have
i
to
na
prepare
PKS-ie, i na
that
PKP.
things will start happening
Więc
at the coach station, at the railway station. So at 9 o'clock on the
Lubelski Społeczny Komitet Pomocy
5th of
Ukrainie,
February,
do
the
którego do
Community
tej pory, który
Committee
działa,
of
do
Health
którego
for
należą
Ukraine
wszystkie lubelskie
was
uczelnie,
established,
organizacje
and all
pozarządowe,
the universities
Straż
in
Miejska.
in
Więc to było
NGOs,
coś niesamowitego.
municipal
w tym
police
strasznym
all
dniu,
belong to it.
bo w przeciągu
All are
2
members,
godzin
and it was
stworzyliśmy
immense because
system,
within
w jaki
2 hours we
sposób,
created
kto, gdzie
a
działa,
system
jak to będzie wyglądało, jak się
for
komunikujemy.
help, how we
I
are to
zaczynało się
communicate
banalnie, pewnie
and
takiego
work
każdego na
together,
grupach, na
and
messengerach,
it started on
Facebooków
messenger
i
groups,
tym podobne.
Facebook, etc.
Centrum Kultury w Lublinie oddało nam
The
swoją
culture
przestrzeń,
center
z
in
której się wyprowadziłam, bo
Lublin
nocowałam tam przez 3 miesiące, więc to też
gave
bardzo
us
fajne
the
doświadczenie.
space. And
Uczelnie muszę docenić,
I have to
bo
appreciate
tutaj zwłaszcza
universities,
Uniwersytet Marii
especially
Skłodowskiej, nasz
the Marie
Uniwersytet Medyczny,
Curie
który
Skłodowska-Curie
oddali swoje
University and our
akademiki, co
medical
też było
university
niesamowite.
gave up their dormitories, and it
Uniwersytet
was
Medyczny ze względu też na
remarkable.
lokalizację,
The
blisko
medical
do szpitalu.
university close to
Też
the
wiedzieliśmy, że
hospital
ta asysta
as
medyczna i
well.
pomoc
We knew
medyczna
that
będzie nam
medical
bardzo,
help
bardzo
will
potrzebna i
be in
doświadczenia naszych
high
lekarzy.
demand, and
Więc do tej
experience of
pory,
our medics as
ten
well.
akademik działa dla
This
osób,
dormitory
dla wojskowych,
was
dla dzieci
available
po
for
traumach,
for people, for
i
military, for traumatized children, and this is was an immense solution, a great solution that I'll be grateful for until the end of my days. The Marie Skłodowska-Curie University gave up the biggest dormitory called Helios, so there's huge collaboration between the city, the region, and the university. Volunteers, University of Technology, the highest school of entrepreneurship and administration. We have a lot of students from abroad in Lublin, and the highest internationalization index. It allowed us to build a huge network of volunteers, translators, even a network of Ukrainian-speaking psychologists, and this helped us as well. But I do agree that not volunteers are fit for this work. It was a difficult thing to see a volunteering Ukrainian who suddenly found out that the hometown was shelled. The key word here is trust and collaboration. If we didn't have that before, we wouldn't have succeeded. But the example of the committee of this local community committee is an example of how we can work together. We still have to remember about the scale of what was happening. If we are to trust the statistics, more than 5 million people from Ukraine lost their jobs. More than 6 million people had to leave their country. More than 10 were displaced. And if we look at more than 10 million, and if we look at the number of businesses and GDP in Ukraine, GDP dropped about 40% over the past year in Ukraine. But at the same time, and that gives us hope for the future, 80% of businesses returned in Ukraine Ukraine
także
resumed their
miastach.
business
W ciągu
activity.
ostatniego roku
Also in
zarejestrowano w
cities,
ukraińskich
and over the
miastach
past
około
year about
200,000 nowych firm. A
200,000
więc,
new
tak jak
businesses
wczoraj
were
pan
registered.
prezes Siwiński
Like President
apelował
Siwiński
o to,
said
żeby myśleć
yesterday,
coraz
we need
bardziej
to
już
think
o
more
następnym etapie,
about the
czyli
next
o
stage,
współpracy z Ukrainą
about
w
working with
momencie, kiedy
Ukraine
będzie
at the
potrzebna
time
jej
when
odbudowa.
it
I tutaj
needs
myślę, rola
reconstruction.
miast
And I think
polskich
here the
i
role of
uczelni,
Polish
które
cities and
współpracują z tymi
universities
miastami, będzie
which
kluczowa.
work with
W związku
those
z tym moje
cities
pytanie
will
następne
be
będzie
a
również
key
do
here.
pani Iryny.
So my next question is to
Proszę
Irina.
powiedzieć z punktu
Please tell
widzenia
us, from the
burmistrzów
point
czy
of view of
liderów miast
mayors or
ukraińskich,
leaders of
jakie
Ukrainian cities,
elementy pomocy
what
teraz byłyby
elements of help
najistotniejsze, żeby
would be the most
odbudować jak
important
najszybciej
now
potencjał,
to
który
rebuild
Ukraina miała
potential
przed
of Ukraine that it
rosyjską
had
inwazją?
before
Jak
the Russian
możemy
aggression as soon as
poprawić
possible?
komunikację
How can we improve
pomiędzy miastami
communications between
ukraińskimi a
Ukrainian
polskimi?
and Polish
Jak
cities,
włączyć w to
and how
najlepiej
can we
uczelnie?
include universities in those actions?
Ну, перш за все, ми завжди вчимося
First of
в
all,
Польщі, так, і завжди вчимося в
we
іноземних
always
партнерів,
learn
бо бачимо рівень життя,
from
який є
our foreign
насправді
partners
краще. Ми говоримо,
in
що
Poland too, because we can see the level of life that is better, the quality of life. We is saying that reconstruction has already started. Even in liberated areas, people are living there, not all returned, but they have to live somewhere. So the reconstruction effort is already underway. There are various needs and huge needs in terms of reconstruction, because we are speaking about Kharkiv, for example, and Nikolaev, which are still shelled and under artillery fire, but there are cities which have huge infrastructure problems. For example, Mykolaiv, drinking water. You can imagine when you turn your tap and there is salt water running, and when in winter it goes into the pipelines, it will damage the whole system. So now we are working on this aspect. There are needs in reconstruction, windows, roofs of buildings, schools, hospitals. These are huge costs, and I understand that cities cannot cover fully this cost. They have their budgets and other spending, and definitely we need expert opinions, evaluations. We need expert help. Like Victoria said, transparency of using the funds, mechanisms of using those funds, working with universities, where universities are not treated separately, but as a space where young people can even now run certain projects, such as perhaps education projects. Many people left, like you have said, they lost their jobs. What's important is to teach municipal teams to have effective communications via new technologies, how to do the reconstruction based on data, how to collect the data, how to take decisions about reconstruction, public transport, and physical reconstructions, which is in the greatest demand, and capacity building. This is also in high demand. Now, to respond to the question on the role of universities, definitely we need to reevaluate the role of Ukrainian universities. They were active centers of participation, because we know, we are saying that the reconstruction effort should be based on including the community of the people. That's why people will want to return. They will feel that the city needs them. So this is very important. On top of that, education, higher education, and school-level education for children, because we start with bottom-up. We start even with kids, not just with universities. As an interesting example, as you perhaps know, Ukraine, for various historical reasons, over a long period had two languages. And if you meet Ukrainians, you will see those who speak Russian as well, unfortunately. But many interesting programs have been launched in Ukrainian that allow them to switch to Ukrainian. And there is a large program, Yedini, which is about translating literature literature into Ukrainian.
Дуже цікаво, що
And
клуби стартували не лише в Україні, не лише
And there is remote education, but there are also discussion clubs to have conversations in Ukrainian. And there are various events, for example, the Kozmiński University in Warsaw provided an opportunity for free of charge discussion clubs. So Ukrainians come to Poland learn Polish, but also Ukrainian. And the staff of the university are prepared to pay the moderators of those clubs.
Understanding that this is also work that is useful. So that's another good example. We also have the exchange clubs, where we have beautiful example of cooperation between universities, between educational institutions, how to teach young people and children.
Powiemy osobno o inicjatywach dla młodzieży, tych inicjatywach lokalnych.
Well, let's talk about a little bit about the local initiatives a little later, but first I'd like to ask Mirosław
Z
to
punktu widzenia Wrocławia ta współpraca z miastami partnerskimi i odpowiedź
tell
na
us,
to, czego potrzebuje Ukraina dzisiaj już
from
została
Wrocław
zaadresowana,
perspective, how was
albo być może
this
jak zostanie
answer to the question, what does
zaadresowana
Ukraine
także przy współpracy z
been
naszymi
addressed
kampusami
so far, and how
uczelnianymi.
will it be addressed in the future in collaboration with universities? In the first days after the aggression, after Russian aggression, Wrocław issued a message concerning the needs, and there was a very broad response. We sent that message to our partner cities. Wiesbaden was the first to react. On the 1st of March, they sent the first shipment of the most needed products, which were very quickly used and distributed among the refugees in Wrocław. Some were sent over to Ukraine. If we are to look at figures, I want to emphasize that Wrocław received 200,000 Ukrainians, of which 150 in the city, plus 100,000 Ukrainians that already lived in the city. So this is a big community. At some point, Wrocław also coped quite well with organizing reception points. We had 27 different locations in which a person could be accommodated. We were helped also by Warsaw University of Technology opened one of the first locations where you could house, but also feed and provide preliminary information to the refugees. But coming back to the partner cities again. One important initiative proved to be cooperation with Dresden. They shipped considerable loads of aid. Shipments also quite entrepreneurial was the mayor of Lille in France.
To miasto zaoferowało relokację,
city offered
osób z Ukrainy do siebie, deklarując
to
przyjęcie nawet
4,000 osób on
ale
holidays, declaring
tak się
the
okazało,
readiness
że
to accept as many as
poziom
4,000.
zaopiekowania
But it turned out
tych
that the
osób
level
był
of
na tyle wysoki, że
support
naprawdę skorzystało z
in
tego
Wrocław
zaledwie
was
600
sufficient
osób,
that only
żeby
600
wyjechać tam.
people used that
Natomiast,
opportunity. However,
sam fakt
the very fact that
nadania takiego wsparcia świadczy
this
też
sort
o
of support
dużej
was offered
solidarności.
signifies
Wśród
considerable level of
naszych
solidarity on
miast
their part.
partnerskich
Among
mamy
the
też
partner cities,
dwa miasta
we also
z Ukrainy,
have two cities from
z Lwowem
Ukraine.
współpracujemy od
We've worked
2001
with
roku
Lviv since
i
2001,
to trudno to
it's even
nazwać
difficult
relacje
to
partnerskie
call a
takie
partnership
sformalizowane,
relation
bo
in a formal way,
i we Lwowie
because
i
in
we
Lviv
Wrocławiu
and Wrocław
mówi się, że
it is often
Lwów to
said
jest
that
dalej na
Lviv
wschód wysunięta dzielnica
is an eastward
Wrocławia,
district
a
of
Wrocław to
Wrocław,
jest najbardziej
and in Lviv they say that Wrocław is the most westward district of
ale
Lviv.
właśnie z inicjatywy prezydenta Wrocławia, pana Jacka Sodryka, też
Mr. Jacek Sodryk, the president of Wrocław, the mayor of Wrocław,
na forum ekonomicznym w Karpaczu była możliwość spotkania się
agreements. And in Karpacz at the Economic Forum there was a meeting between the mayor of Breda and Andrzej Sadowy, mayor of Lviv,
zawiązane takie trójstronne
and a
porozumienie, które w tej
trilateral
chwili jeszcze jest
agreement was
procedowane,
signed
ale
with
już w tej chwili
Wrocław, which is still
wiemy,
being
że
processed,
Breda
but we know
będzie
that
wspierała powstanie Narodowego Centrum Rehabilitacji Unbroken w Lwowie,
Breda is going to be sponsoring the formation
właśnie w celu współczesnego protezowania i też pomocy medycznej i psychologicznej
in Lviv, which will
osobom
be devoted to
ofiarom wojny,
providing
nie
medical
tylko
and especially
wojennym, ale
psychological
też
support to
cywilnym.
persons who are victims of the war,
Protezy
not
mają
only
powstawać
military but also
tam na miejscu, nie tylko
civilian.
dopasowane, a
The
właśnie
physical support,
potężne
the medical
przedsięwzięcie, które
support is
trwa
going to involve
77
prosthetic
milionów euro. I te miasta partnerskie
limbs,
właśnie włączają się w
which
takie,
are going to
takie
not only be
inicjatywy.
distributed but also manufactured
Zupełnie
locally.
ostatnia,
This is a
świeża,
major
absolutnie
program. And
informacja
the
15
latest
marca
piece of information from the 20th of March, we had in Wrocław
Rady Miejskiej Kijowa, pana
chairman
Aleksandra
of Kyiv
Bondarenko,
Town House,
została
Mr.
podpisana
Alexander
właśnie
Bondarenko, and
długo
we signed
dojrzewająca współpraca między Wrocławiem i
the
Kijowem.
collaboration between
Bardzo
Wrocław
dziękuję,
and
proszę
Kyiv.
Państwa. Poznań nie
Thank you very
aspirował nigdy do
much.
tego,
Poznań
żeby
never
być
aspired
Lwowem
to
na
be
zachodzie Polski, natomiast
Lviv
ma
in
swoje
the west
miasta
of Poland,
partnerskie
but it
oraz
does have its
inicjatywy.
own
Chciałbym,
partner
Aniu, poprosić Ciebie o
towns and cities
parę
and
słów
its
na
own
temat skali tej
initiatives.
współpracy,
So
co udało się
I'd like
zrobić,
to
co jeszcze będziemy w stanie zrobić.
ask
Ja Państwu przy
you,
okazji jeszcze taką ciekawostkę podam, że pamiętam, myśmy
is
tego
done,
nawet nie
what would be
zdążyli
done.
nagłośnić w tych pierwszych miesiącach,
a little
ale przez zupełny
item
przypadek,
of
ponieważ
interest
UAM bardzo intensywnie
that I'd like to
zamieszczał
quote,
informacje
because
z tego, co
UAM, the
uczelnia razem z
Poznań
miastem
University,
robi w
published a
mediach
lot of information
społecznościowych
about
dla
what they did
osób z
in
Ukrainy.
social media.
Nagle
what they
pojawił
did
się
for
dwutonowy
persons from Ukraine.
transport z
Suddenly,
miejscowości
a two-ton
Aberdeen
shipment
ze
from
Szkocji.
Aberdeen, Scotland
Odezwali się do
appeared
nas
in Poznań.
przez Facebook
They
Messengera, tylko
contacted
dlatego,
us
że
via
zobaczyli po
Messenger
angielsku
because they saw
jednego,
in
drugiego,
English
trzeciego
1,
posta na
2,
oficjalnej
3
stronie
posts
uczelni,
on the
gdzie było
official
wyraźnie powiedziane,
Facebook
do kogo
site
można się zgłosić,
the
gdzie jest
university,
zbierana
which
pomoc,
said very
jakiego
clearly
typu jest
who you
zbierana
can
pomoc.
refer to, what
Okazuje
sort
się,
of aid
lokalna
is
społeczność gdzieś
collected,
tam w wiosce pod
and who to talk
Aberdeen
to. Some
tak chwyciło ją za
local
serce
community
to,
in a
że
little
gdzieś w
village
Polsce
near
jest
Aberdeen were
uniwersytet
so
blisko granicy z Niemcami,
took
bo
it
oni
to
taką
heart so
skalę
much that
mieli
there is
patrzenia, że
this
jaka uczelnia polska
some
jest jak
sort of
najbliżej
university,
granicy
and we were looking
Berlina,
was
żeby jak
which one
najłatwiej
is
było
closest to
dojechać.
Berlin, so it's
Przyjechali,
easily
proszę
accessible,
Państwa,
and they
nieproszeni,
just
niewołani.
arrived, not
Nagle
announced,
zjawia się
not
przed
invited,
Welcome
not
Center
called. Suddenly,
wielki
a
transportowy
big
bus, z którego
bus
wychodzi dwóch Szkotów i mówi,
appears
słuchajcie,
in front of
myśmy wam
our center.
przywieźli
Two
rzeczy,
Scotsmen
przywieźli wszystko.
get out of it and say,
Naprawdę
we've got all
kolejny
the things you
wzruszający
wanted, we
moment,
got everything.
jaki
This
ja
was a
przeżyłem,
very
część z tego od razu
moving
poszła do naszej
moment.
hali
Some of
sportowej,
this
bo wszyscy
immediately
dzielimy
went to our
te same
sports hall because
doświadczenia.
we share all
Na
the same
Młyńską,
experiences.
część pojechała na
Młyńska
targi
Street,
poznańskie,
some went to
no ale
the
usłyszmy w takim
trade
razie,
show
jak z
in
perspektywy
Poznań,
miasta
but
te
let's
partnerstwa
hear it from
wyglądały.
the city. What were the partnerships?
Poznań ma 15 miast partnerskich.
Poznań has 15
Jeśli chodzi o
partner
Ukrainę,
cities.
naszym miastem
In Ukraine, our
jest Charków.
partner is Kharkiv.
Oczywiście podobnie jak we
And,
Wrocławiu,
like
no, od
in
razu
Wrocław,
zastosowaliśmy
we of course immediately
pytanie,
sent
prośbę
out a
do miast,
request, a question
czy mogą
to
tutaj
our partner
wspomóc
cities if
nas
they were
w
ready
różnych
to
działaniach.
provide us with any support.
Myślę, że najbardziej
And
chyba
I think
zaangażowały
probably
się
the
takie
most
miasto jak
involved
Hanower.
was Hanover,
Oni wyposażyli
Germany. They
między innymi na przykład jedną
provided
z hal,
equipment for
gdzie
one
było
of the
miejsce
halls
tymczasowego
where there was a
pobytu,
temporary
w
residence,
kilkaset łóżek,
providing
kocy,
several
pościeli,
hundred
śpiworów
beds
itd.,
and
itd.
bedding,
Więc przyjechał cały wielki
sleeping bags,
transport
etc. This whole
z
big
tymi
shipment arrived
meblami
with
i
this
wyposażeniem.
furniture
Z
and
kolei
fixture.
i tam się w ogóle też ciekawe, bardzo
An
zaangażowała
interesting
na przykład
thing is
straż
that their fire
pożarna,
brigade
w
became
Hanowerze, więc
quite
też taki
involved.
ciekawy partner jako
So this is
instytucja
an
w
interesting
momencie.
partner as an
Z kolei w
institution.
drugą stronę, kiedy ten transport
On the other
wracał,
direction,
to
when that
zabrał
transport
gdzieś,
was
nie wiem,
going back,
myślę, że około chyba
they took
70
with them, I
osób,
think about
jeśli chodzi
70
o relokację.
people in order to relocate them.
Więc tyle osób mogło
So that
tam,
many
w bezpieczny
persons could
sposób,
then,
tak,
in this way,
kontrolowany,
safely, in a
znaleźć
controlled
schronienie z
way,
kolei w
find
Hanowerze.
shelter in
Więc to było
Hanover.
takie też bardzo namacalna
That was
pomoc
very
z tej
tangible
strony i bardzo dobrze
assistance that
zorganizowana,
they
wiadomo,
provided and
jak
very well organized.
jak to w niemieckim mieście.
As you know, in a German city.
Między innymi też miasto Assen
Essen,
przekazało tutaj nam dużą pomoc
Assen
finansową.
in the Netherlands
50
was a city
euro
that provided us with
na
50,000
cele właśnie
euros
związane,
support.
nie tylko z żywnością czy
It
wyposażeniem, ale
was
też
not
na
spent
przykład
just on
różne
food
działania
and
miękkie,
equipment, but also
wzmacnianie na
some
przykład
soft
kompetencji osób, które
issues,
tutaj
improving
chcą
competencies
zostać,
of
na przykład
persons who
podjąć pracę.
wanted to stay
Podobnie
here and find
zaangażowały się też
employment.
miasta, na przykład, co było ciekawe, pozapartnerskie, czyli takie,
There
z
were
którymi
cities
po prostu
that were
gdzieś
not
mamy
even in
jakieś
partnership,
kontakty
we just had
międzynarodowe.
some international contacts with them, we were
Taipei
not
na
in
przykład
partners. Taipei,
przekazało
for
nam
instance,
300
sent us
$300,000
$300,000.
i między innymi
And
z tych środków były
from
też na przykład
this
organizowane
money,
rodzaju
we were
warsztaty
able to use
dla
this money to
kobiet z
organize
Ukrainy.
workshops for women from Ukraine.
Takie, które też wzmacniały właśnie
The type of workshops that reinforced their competencies and improved their qualifications, making them more competitive in the labor market. Takasaki w Japan sent several thousand zlotys.
Jakby też bardzo wiele środowisk
Very many
zaangażowało się w to,
communities
żeby na
became
przykład móc
involved
zorganizować
in
transporty
organizing
właśnie do
shipments to Kharkiv, which is our partner city,
wiadomo, z
with
żywnością,
food,
środkami
of course,
higieny itd. Więc jest tu
hygiene
też bardzo
products,
duża
etc.
pomoc
So there
środowiska
was a tremendous
akademickiego,
support from
naukowego,
the
bo jak
academic
wiemy, tak jak na
community,
Państwa też
research
wszystkich
community.
uczelniach, takie zbiórki
Probably you
były
had that
organizowane,
experience at each of your
ale też
universities.
trzeba
These
podkreślić między
collections
innymi na
were
przykład we
organized.
współpracy z
We
rządem czy
also
z
have to
Kościołem
emphasize our
udało się te
cooperation
transporty
with
też
the government and the church, because we were able to organize those shipments. Caritas was quite strongly involved in organizing the actual shipments.
środowisk, podkreślając jak zwykle jeszcze też bardzo
So
mocno
emphasizing how many NGOs were involved,
i ta pomoc
I
jakby
want to
cały
say
czas
that
trwa, bo my na
this
przykład na ten rok też mamy
is continued, because
zagwarantowane
we've got a
przekazanie około
guarantee
300
of
000 złotych na
approximately
zakup
300,000 zlotys to be transferred for
takich
the purchase
elementów,
of
które posłużą do
elements that
odbudowy
will
sieci
be used to
energetycznej w Charkowie
reconstruct
i to się
the
będzie działo na
power
przykład
grid in
w tym
Kharkiv.
roku.
This is
O
going to
takiej
be
mądrej
done this
odbudowie
year.
to jeśli będzie okazja, to jeszcze też
Jeśli zdążymy jeszcze,
tak.
ale chciałbym
some
jeszcze
more
a
about
propos
smart
dobrych
reconstruction.
praktyk usłyszeć
Yes,
o
but
przykładzie lubelskim,
talking about
ponieważ
good
wiem
practices,
skądinąd,
I'd like to hear from Lublin,
współpracowałyście
because I
Panie
happen to
z
know that
Iryną
you
i z
did
International
work with
Marriage
Irina
Summit,
in the
więc być może
International
dla nas
Marriage
wszystkich byłoby to
Summit.
ciekawym
So it could be an
jak
interesting
miasto
example
polskie
for all of us
może
of how a
sieciować
Polish
się z
city
miastami i
can
uczelniami ukraińskimi
work with and network
za
with
dobrym
Ukrainian
pośrednictwem osób, które są zaangażowane w cały
cities,
projekt.
following leadership of some wise people. But I'll just supplement that partner cities all played tremendous role. In our case, it was Nancy and Münster. They were strongly involved, but especially in the beginning, they supported us for close to 4 million zlotys to purchase ambulances for Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, and Kryvyi Rog. So that was amazing. We had, like Mirek, situation like Mirek said, when the partner cities called and said, yeah, we can send buses to pick up refugees, women with children, to relocate to our cities. And we were encouraging them to do it. We were saying, yes, they are our trusted partners, you will be safe, but in the spring, everyone who came to Lublin wanted to stay close to the border, hoping that this will overpass. And they'll quickly find their way
aktywnie współpracujemy, zresztą też już w trakcie pełnoskalowej
during the full-scale Lublin signed cooperation with Kharkiv, because we were friendly cities, now we are twinning cities, so partner cities, with the declaration that as Lublin we undertake to assist in the reconstruction of the institutions of culture in Kharkiv. So the level of institution of culture is very, the commitment there is quite strong. It would seem that Lublin, because one develops and one finds out about good practice. We thought we were the only ones who were so good to work with Taiwan, but it turns out Poznan, you also did. We had some financing from our partners in Taiwan for the vocational counseling. I wanted to also emphasize the role of local businesses, because we often mention universities and NGOs, but the tremendous support was provided by the local business. Our Lublin-based companies every 3 months are sending ambulances eastward, which are purchased by employers of Lublin area. Companies are also involved in the Urban Club, which we started last year on Ira's initiative, and an organization, Child Effect from Kyiv, who approached the city saying that Urban Club works in Ukraine. This is a good case showing that as Lublin, we got some good practices from Ukraine. Urban
studentów z
Club
Ukrainy i
meant
z
that we
Polski
involved
i próbowaliśmy
students
zintegrować,
from
próbujemy, bo
Ukraine
to
and
edycja
Poland.
nowa,
We're still doing it
zintegrować
because the second
dzieciaków z
edition. We're trying to
Lublina i
integrate
z
kids
Ukrainy,
from
którzy mieszkają w
Ukraine who
Lublinie,
live in Lublin
poprzez
and
różne
kids
tematy,
of Lublin
pokazując
through
dzieciom,
different
że
subjects,
również mają
showing
wpływ na to, w
children
jaki
that they
sposób
can
rozwija się
also
miasto.
have an
Czy
effect
to
on
temat
how
rewitalizacji
the
miasta,
city
czy temat
develops,
przedsiębiorczości, czy
revitalization,
partycypacji.
entrepreneurship,
Zapraszamy ekspertów,
participation.
czy
We
to z
invite
uczelni, czy z
experts from
biznesu, gdzie
university
dzieci też
or
mogą
from
zobaczyć,
business,
w
where
jaki sposób
children
na
can
przykład warto
see
tworzyć przestrzeń
how
bezpieczną
it's
w
worth
szkole,
to
jaki
create
oni mają
safe
wpływ
space
na
in
to.
school, how they
Teraz
can
w ostatnich weekendach właśnie mieliśmy
affect this.
architekturę miejską.
We
i
had
bardzo
city
fajnych
architecture
ekspertów,
last
panią
week with
rektor
fantastic
z
experts. We had Madam
Więc
Rector
to jest
from
przykład
Wyspa in
współpracy. Mówię,
Lublin.
tutaj Ira przywiozła nam z Anią
Ira
know-how, za
and
które
Ania
jesteśmy
brought
bardzo,
us
bardzo
some
wdzięczni.
know-how
Też
that
mamy
we're
nadzieję,
really
że na
grateful
koniec
for.
powstaną
And we hope
podcasty
at the
z
end of the day
perspektywy
we will
dzieci
have
właśnie z
podcasts from
Lublina
the
i z
children's
Ukrainy,
perspective.
którzy w Lublinie mieszkają.
Children
Co
from
ich
Lublin
nauczył ten
and
projekt
Ukrainian
i
children living in
jak
Lublin.
oni
What
widzą,
did
jaki oni
this
będą
program
mieli
teach
wpływ,
them
jak
and
wrócą
how
do
they
domu do Ukrainy,
see
jak oni będą
their
odbudowywać.
future
Takie zupełnie nowe
influence on
myślenie.
the
I to właśnie
reconstruction of
idealny
Ukraine?
case
This is a new
współpracy.
way of thinking. It's a
Miasto,
perfect case
uczelnie,
of collaboration.
organizacje pozarządowe. Więc
City,
bardzo chętnie też zachęcam
university,
mi
NGOs. So
zadawać
I'd
później
like to
pytania, bo
encourage
chętnie się
also
podzielimy
everybody
doświadczeniem,
to
zwłaszcza, że
ask
Ira
me
teraz
and
też
Ira
realizuje w Warszawie
questions,
Urban Club.
especially
No
Ira
poczekaj,
is
właśnie,
doing
bo
Urban Club in
wywołałaś
Warsaw right
pewien
now.
temat,
Yeah, because
który
you
ja chcę
started
jeszcze
a
na
topic
koniec
that I
przed
wanted
podsumowaniem
to
Państwu powiedzieć.
tell you
Nie wiem,
about
czy Państwo
before
wiecie, że
the
macie w
summary.
osobie
I don't know if you
Irynę
realize that
Ozymok, także
in the person of
autorkę.
Irina Izimok, you
Autorkę
also have
książki
an author,
świeżo
an
wydanej
author
dla
of a
dzieci
book
pod
freshly
tytułem The
published for
City is
children
Me.
called The
Chciałbym
City is
poprosić
Me,
teraz
and
Panią
I like
Iryno,
to
ponieważ
ask you, Irina,
poniekąd Wiktoria wywołała
because
ten
Victoria
temat,
called that
co
subject.
miasta czy we
What can the
współpracy z
cities
uczelniami, czy
together with
poza robią dla
universities
ludzi
and
młodych,
outside universities,
żeby
what can
powiedziała
they do
nam
for the young
Pani
people?
parę
Could you
słów o
tell us a
książce The
few
City
words
is Me?
about
Skąd
the
się
book,
wziął
The
projekt?
City is Me?
Na czym
Where
to
did this
polega?
project come from? What it's all about?
Проект взявся з
The
напевно натхненням
project
для
started
проекту стало народження моєї дитини, так
from the inspiration in me producing my first child.
багато купували дитячої
The
літератури.
birth of my first child was the time when we started buying a lot of children's literature, and I realized there isn't anything about cities. And I am involved in associating mayors from various cities, from various countries. So I have a lot of valuable information for grown-ups. How can I translate this into children's language? It was COVID, I could work from home. The kid was here, I was writing the book there. And the book is now already exists. In the Polish translation, it is I exist for the city. So every person is for the city. We ask a child, would you like to become a mayor, a president of the city? Few children raise their head. But when we show, if you're a business person, you can create innovation and technology for the city, for the smart city, or that you can be a company
очищувати. Ви теж можете робити
that purifies water, drinking water well, so you can do good things for the city. You can become an activist. You need to understand that the city is ours, and what are the mechanisms of cooperation between kids and the mayors. It's not just adults that can grow and build cities. We need to find out about the needs of the children. It is now more than a book, because it started with a book, followed by podcasts, followed by a school program, which is a voluntary thing. Kids organize it on their own initiative. They do not need a permission from the Ministry of Łódzk, Iwano-Frankfurt, Chmielnicz, Ławutycz. These are towns that adopt these programs. Lublin, Warszawa, with the Urban Club, became a certain entry to the international level. It helps Polish and Ukrainian children to become little citizens of the city who have a voice of their own, who have their rights, and who have ideas, and they can present their ideas to the municipal authorities. And in Lublin, we have the best example of cooperation, which helps in the upbringing of children. In this project, we can build a responsible city dweller. Now the time is almost up, but I'd like to continue the thread of youth initiatives. I would therefore like to encourage you in the break, maybe, and in the foyer to talk about youth councils. Kharkiv has one, or the science shops. But right now we only have enough time for each of you to very briefly summarize what you
bądź
think
to,
you were
gdzie
successful
jeszcze
at,
miasta we współpracy
or
z uczelniami
where you
wymagają
as
trochę
cities
pracy ze względu na
working with
wyzwania,
universities
które
need
są
to do
w
some more
przyszłości.
work because of
Zaczniemy
future
od
challenges.
Wrocławia.
Let's start
Mirku,
with
jeśli mogę cię
Wrocław.
prosić.
Mirku, if you could start, please,
Króciutko.
briefly.
Właściwie większość inicjatyw
Most of the initiatives
udało się osiągnąć,
have
które
been
były skierowane na wsparcie.
achieved that
Tak
were
jak wspomniałem, było to uwarunkowane
related
tym
to
dobrym
support.
gruntem,
This was because
z
there was
dobrą
fertile
koordynacją
soil,
i
good
zaangażowaniem
coordination,
dziesiątek
involvement
organizacji, instytucji,
of
departamentów i tak dalej.
dozens of
Więc,
agencies, institutions
wiele
and
oczywiście
organizations,
jest do zrobienia
departments.
i
Of course,
do
there's a lot
dopracowania,
more to be
ale
done and a lot more to be
kluczowe,
fine-tuned.
organizacje,
But
które
the
warto wspomnieć,
key
to jest Fundacja
organizations that
Ukraina,
need to
która
be
działa od
mentioned
wielu lat
is
i
Foundation
jest
Ukraine,
takim,
which has been operating for
jednym
years,
z ośrodków,
and it's
które
now one of the
pełni rolę,
centers which
koordynacji
plays
i
the
też
role
stałej
of a
konsultacji
coordinator and
z
provider
generatorem
of
mnóstwo
constant
inicjatyw, które
consultation.
są
Also, it
skierowane tylko
generates
wobec Ukrainy,
lots of
ale też
initiatives
całej
addressed
społeczności
targeting not only Ukrainians but the entire international community in Wrocław. Another one is Wrocław Center for Social Development, which also has its own center called Dialogue, which is freely accessible for everyone. And there are many initiatives that are still ahead of us.
Dobrze funkcjonują. Tutaj się wydaje, że na każdym polu
And I think in every field we've achieved quite a lot, and we've done it right. But as for the future,
bardziej aspekt akademicki, jeżeli
looking from the more academic angle,
to, o czym było to niejednokrotnie mówione, wsparcie
it's the thing that was mentioned many times before, support not so much for the student, but more this time for universities in Ukraine. Mr. Consul said today that how many universities completely destroyed, how many are facing problems of not being able to fully function. So I believe future initiatives will be mostly towards supporting these universities. Thank you very much. Poznań, 30 seconds. What was the best thing you did? What were the biggest successes? So thank you very much, because I didn't mention to talk about initiatives of other universities, like Adam Mickiewicz University. I'm waving here to Rector Witkowski. And we're preparing some other activities already, not only, again, targeting the citizens of Ukraine, but also citizens of Russia who run away because they're in opposition to the regime. So we're running some study work in how we could support them. There are also other initiatives, like for instance artistic events, which are not obvious at all. Infographics, which are very readable in Polish, Ukrainian and Russian. They're very, very important. What I really wanted to do is to thank all the academic community for being able to successfully create a network interconnecting various sectors. And that's why in Poznań we managed to get things done above existing divisions. The tradition of working at the basics in Poznań is what helped us. So even if we have different viewpoints on various situations, we managed to do the basic thing. So the future wise reconstruction of Ukraine, not only in terms of infrastructure, but creating local communities, which in many cases will have to be reconstructed from scratch. There's a lot of role for experts, scientists, researchers, scholars, how to approach this. And of course, a lot of activities right here, where there are a lot of problems, because youth, sometimes we have older youth, or we have to do a separate workshop about that one. Mr. Director, that's an appeal to you. We need to show the practical side. Thank you, Anya. So, 30 seconds for Irina. Were you most proud in the cooperation with us? Most importantly, Poland is the greatest friend of Ukraine and the greatest partner, and very grateful for that. I think we also were able to see that the mayors and presidents of the cities became bigger players, and their roles as representatives and ambassadors of Ukraine in the political process is very important. And again, following Alexandra Hodorkiewicz, I'm very grateful for her activity in the EU and the region community committee and
дуже
the support
погоджуюсь про
and
цю
her
розумну,
participation was
мудру
very important.
відбудову,
I
але
also
ми мусимо
agree
розуміти, що без
about
освіти в
the
різних
wise,
її аспектах,
smart
освіта
reconstruction
молоді,
of
освіта
Ukraine, but I think
підприємців,
that we have
освіта
to
літніх людей,
first
ми
rethink all of these
не
aspects,
розуміємо,
education of
критично
young people,
важливо.
entrepreneurs,
Але те, про що ми мало
citizens,
говорили,
this is
так,
very
як мало
important,
взагалі
of
говоримо.
critical
Я хочу, щоб ми
importance.
пам'ятали, що
What we
Україна може
didn't
дати
discuss
світу.
enough
Повірте, коли
is
ви
we have
самі
to
кажете,
remember what
бізнеси
Ukraine has to
відкриваються,
offer
але
to the
відкриваються
world,
під час
because
війни.
you
Українці
say that
починають
business is open to
максимально
business,
бути
open during
креативними, вони
wartime.
включають всі можливі,
Ukrainians
всі можливості,
becoming
вони
creative.
показують
They
цю
are
свою сміливість не тільки в
utilizing
захисті,
any
а в певних
opportunities that
інноваціях.
exist. They are
Люди, які
courageous not only in
займалися,
defense but also in
застосунками для
innovation.
домашніх тварин,
People
зараз
who
роблять
create
дрони і інші
applications for
інновації. Я просто
pets
хочу,
are
щоб ви
now
пам'ятали, що
creating
українці теж
drones and
можуть
other
щось
innovations.
давати
I'd like
світу і
to,
в
for all of you to remember the
і в
Ukrainians can
боротьбі,
give to the
і в
world in terms of education, in terms
Myślę,
of
że to jest
struggle,
świetne
and I
przesłanie.
hope in
Bardzo dziękuję.
reconstruction.
Wiktorio,
Thank you
ostatnie
very
30
much, and
sekund.
Victoria, the last
Powiem
30
tylko jeszcze też, co
seconds.
nie
Yeah,
udało
I'll
się.
say what
Udało
we
się
failed.
wspólna walka z
We failed
dezinformacją i myślę, że tu jest jeszcze
fighting
kawał drogi
against
przed nami.
misinformation, and we
Po
have a
stronie
long
polskiej,
way
po
to
stronie
go,
ukraińskiej,
both
bo
on
wojna
Polish and
informacyjna jest mega
Ukrainian side,
ważna.
because
Co się udało,
information warfare
współpraca,
is
bo
important.
widać,
What
że
we
jak razem
succeeded at
współpracujemy,
is
biznes,
cooperation,
uczelnie,
because
miasto,
we're working
to działa i
together,
robimy
business,
niesamowite
universities,
rzeczy, cały
city,
świat
and when we
aplauduje
do
nam
that,
stojąc.
we achieve amazing
Kontynuujmy, nie
things.
przestawajmy
Let's
i nie
continue,
zapominajmy,
let's
że
not
wojna
stop,
trwa.
let's not
I
forget that the
odbudowa
war
razem
is
i
still
zgadzam się,
underway.
popieram
A
z Irą,
reconstruction, I
pamiętajmy o potencjale
agree, I
ukraińskim,
remember
że
Ukrainian
ratować, pomagać
potential.
super, ale
Yeah,
też mamy
save and
niesamowity
help,
potencjał
but
intelektualny
they have
do wykorzystania.
fantastic
Proszę Państwa, ja w
intellectual potential to be
podziękowaniu
used.
moim
I'd like
panelistom
to
mogę
thank my
tylko powiedzieć,
panelists
że
by
w naszym
saying
Welcome Center w
that in
UAM
our
udało
Welcome
się
Center at
nawiązać
Adam
współpracę z
Mickiewicz
tzw.
University,
Sztabem
we
Aniołów. To jest grupa mieszana
started working with
polsko-ukraińska
angel
wolontariuszy,
staff.
którzy
It's a
wykorzystują
mixed
naszą przestrzeń do
Polish-Ukrainian
swoich
group of
spotkań,
volunteers
projektów
who
na
are
co dzień
using
przy
our space
współpracy
for their
z
projects on
różnymi
daily
jednostkami
basis,
miasta
working
i
with various municipal
rekomenduję
agencies.
Państwu
And
także
I'd like to
wyszukiwanie tego
recommend
typu
to you
inicjatyw
also finding
oddolnych i
such
umieszczanie ich na
grassroots
swoich uczelniach,
initiatives
bo tylko
and
w ten sposób
locating them in your
możemy
universities.
powiększyć
This is the only
sztaby
way we
aniołów,
can
które działają na
increase the
rzecz
staff
Ukrainy, na
of
rzecz
angels
współpracy
working for
polsko-ukraińskiej
Ukraine and
teraz i w przyszłości.
Polish-Ukrainian
Bardzo
cooperation now
serdecznie
and in the
dziękuję
future. Thank you
moim
very
panelistom
much.
Państwa
To
i
the panelists, thank you
moimi
very much to
gośćmi
the audience,
byli pani
your guests,
Iryna Ozymuk,
and my guests
pani
were
Wiktoria
Iryna
Herun,
Ozymuk,
Anna
Wiktoria
Wawdysz i
Herun,
pan
Anna
Mirosław
Wawdysz
Dziękujemy
and
Państwu
Mirosław
uprzejmie.
Lebiedź.
A my
Thank you very
dziękujemy,
much.
Marcin, Tobie za
We'd
moderację.
like to thank you, Marcin, for moderation.
Bardzo dziękujemy panelistkom i panelistom za wniesienie do naszej konferencji niezwykle potrzebnej perspektywy samorządowej i lokalnej. A Państwa zapraszamy teraz na 15-minutową przerwę kawową i rozpoczniemy punktualnie o godzinie 12:05.
Thank you for the discussion, and now please join coffee break, and please know that the next conference panel will start 12:05.